precious little dragons, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having an amazing day today. Today I am just doing a get ready with me because it's almost finals and I need a brain break. This is what we're doing. It's not a book look. I couldn't be bothered to put my notes together, honestly. Put my mirror up. Isn't this such a great mirror holder? Why would I think this? I don't have a particular plan. I just want to get ready. I'm going to be going for more of a classic look because I'm taking a book photo for my Instagram, which if you're not following me there, you should. It's just a novel beauty. Okay. I literally just grabbed a giant bag of stuff. I have no idea what's in here, so I'm just going to lay stuff out and explore. This should be fun. Oh gosh, this is very random. There is no rhyme or reason. There is just makeup. So I kind of had an idea of just like talking about like my first year in grad school, which I'd kind of thought about like actually doing a full dedicated video like about my first year in grad school and like what it was like and like the application process, like if anyone had questions, because I know like, you know, when I was applying to grad school I had like so many questions and you know, you just never quite know how things are gonna go. And then of course this has been a really weird year to start grad school because my school at least has been entirely online. So I've basically been in my apartment since July and barely left. But next year will be my first year actually, you know, doing stuff on campus, really. Other than this year I taught an in-person lab. That was for my TA job. That wasn't actually for, you know, my school or my program. I said taught an in-person lab. I helped teach it. Not quite to that on my own point yet. Because it's not in like my specialty area. I'm still having fun with that though. So, oh, I guess I could say, so, my expensive little demon child puppy went and got herself an ear infection. So that's been fun dealing with because she's definitely a winter dog. Like all you have to do is like see her interact in snow and you know, without a doubt, she is a winter dog. Every time we go outside. Every single time. She's eating the snow, licking it, sniffing. One of her favorite things to do is ostrich. In other words, she sticks her head in the snow. Not the best because she has floppy ears. She got an ear infection. It was in her right ear and so they said it was like super bad, really painful. And then Aria also, she's a little head shy. And so at my initial appointment, they actually couldn't clean her ear to put the medicine in because she got so anxious. She started flipping out a little bit. So they gave her a prescription for trazodone, told me to come back the next day, the meds a couple hours before the appointment. Did that, got the meds in her right ear. Her left ear was fine. So we just had our checkup this morning and they said her ear is so much better. However, they also found yeast in her left ear now. So they put another round of medicine in her right ear and a round of medicine in her left ear, and hopefully at our checkup in a couple weeks she will be all cleared up, hopefully. Especially since the summer's coming and I'm basically, I can't TA over the summer really. So I'm going to be doing freelance editing and proofreading. So I put in an account on Upwork and hopefully I'll be able to get a few jobs over the summer just to sort of, you know, be able to pay rent. Going to do my best. So if you or anyone you know needs editing, I'm your gal. Anyway, but point being, I hope that Aria is good at our checkup in a couple weeks because I can't afford as much to pay stuff over the summer, but it'll work out and I'm grateful I have her. I was talking with my mom earlier and I was complaining and mom was like, but aren't you so grateful you have her? You would have been so lonely without her. I'm like, yes, of course I love her. I was like, but I'm an adult and adults complain about money. It is one of the quintessential qualities of being an adult and I'm reveling in it, so, or complaining about it. So I'm just over here honestly hoping that she feels better soon. Yeah, so that's kind of how that's been going, which is, you know, just great. I swear it's the end of the semester and I am losing my mind. Oh, these don't have shade names. I'm just trying to do something like simple today, but I'm going to lean more toward the oranges because I don't know, I've been on kind of an orange kick lately. So I'm like, oh, it brings out the blue in my eyes, which it does, but yeah. So that's what I've been kind of just feeling. What was I going to say? Like, I think I started all of that talking about how I was going to talk about grad school. So if you guys want a dedicated like video kind of cataloging like the grad school process as far as like application, interview, and like first year stuff went. With the caveat that I happen to have a very, very weird first year. Actually, I had my interview like end of last February, beginning of March, which at this point we all know was about the same time the parallelogram hit everywhere. So I literally got home from my interview and the very next week was our first lockdown. Well, not the very next week, it was the week after that, because I had 1 week of work and then everything shut down. You know, that was great, that was wonderful, but I was very grateful that I got the actual in-person interview experience. I feel really bad for everyone who's interviewing this year, because like we had a virtual meet and greet with the students who were interviewing this year. And so like of course like all of their interviews were online, which on the one hand like you don't have to travel, so I mean that's less money you have to spend, which makes it more accessible if you don't have funding like to travel. But at the same time, like because you're going to be there for so many years, it's so important to get that like feeling for the campus, for the people, for the staff. I can't tell you how helpful it is to have that experience, and then like they didn't get that and I just feel really bad that they didn't. Nothing anyone could do about it. Just one of those things that kind of sucks. So like next year's gonna be weird, 'cause it's, like I feel like even though it's gonna be my second year, it's gonna kind of still feel like my first year. Anyway, but I start practicum next fall, so that's gonna be fun. I'm mildly terrified of it. I was talking with one of my friends in my cohort and she was just being super encouraging about it because she got her master's before coming in, which that's the other interesting thing, because like with the PhD in clinical community psych, or just PhD programs in clinical psych in general, a lot of them, like it doesn't really matter if you come in with your master's or come in with your bachelor's. Like usually if you come in with just your bachelor's you can get your master's along the way, which is what I'm doing. Some people do already come in with like a master's in a related field. Or some people do a master's to like prep for the PhD program. It just, you know, there's lots of different routes you can take basically. Anyway, my friend already has her master's, and so she got her master's at the school I attend, and she got her master's at our school. So she's already done practicum at the Psychological Services Center, and so she was just like, yeah, you know, I was terrified too. She's like, but you know, we're there to learn. She's like, you know, they don't just throw you to the wolves right away, you'll be okay. And I'm just like, the idea of actually seeing people for the first time is just mildly terrifying, you know, because it's so different than, I say it's so different, I don't know, I haven't done it, but like it feels like it's going to be so vastly different from, I don't know, everything that we've done, because, you know, I've had 1 7/8 intervention courses at this point, and you know, you learn a lot and you practice and you do simulations and stuff, but just, it's, you know, it's a different vibe, you know, just knowing that next fall I will be seeing real life people with real life problems, and I can make real life mistakes. I am trying not to be too terrified of it, but it's just one of those things that you're like, oh, that is approaching. That is approaching fast. Anyway, but I have so much work to do that I should be doing probably like right this second that I'm not doing, so that's great. Like this was kind of that like, not quite a lull week, because we did have like stuff due, but a little bit where you don't have as much due as you will in the last 2 weeks of the year. And grad school finals are different. So some classes you literally just write a term paper, which usually ends up being like 30 pages, which that is all up my alley. Because I don't get test anxiety over essays. I get, you know, I don't like the waiting, but it doesn't hit me the same as exams do. But there's some that have you do essays like in the finals, so like an in-class essay, which, you know, generally speaking you don't do in undergrad because usually your class sizes are much larger and very, very few professors want to grade 30 student essays, like 30 student essay exams. I had one professor that did that. most people hated it because I think very few people are like me where that's their like bread and butter. They're like, yes, I can write you an essay, I can do whatever you want, just don't give me like a multiple choice test. I mean, you can, but I don't like it. Like, I don't like it nearly as much as essays. I acknowledge that I am a weird human. Let's see, so one of my classes is doing like a take-home like mixed exam basically, so it's like mixed with essay questions and multiple choice and all of that stuff. One of my classes is doing a term paper. One of my classes has a final presentation and a vignette. So that's my intervention class, so that one is obviously going to be more intervention focused. Oh, another one has the essay final that I just talked about. So, should be fun. Yeah, you're going to wait while I do my eyeliner. That wing ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay, yeah. That's just a group ready with me. I'm not really going anywhere except probably the gym later, which I'm probably like, why didn't you work out and then do your makeup? And I don't really have an answer for you. I have tried to get myself to work out in the mornings. It doesn't work out. This liner is like on its last limbs. Alright. Good enough. So let's see, what else should I talk about? I guess I could talk about like the books I'm currently reading. So I'm currently in the middle of reading The Revelations by Eric Hole that I've been on forever. The Place Beyond Her Dreams by Obi Eligwekwe. And then The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm listening to on audiobook. So far, The Only Good Indians, I was very tense about starting that because it's for my TBR card prompt. And I don't do horror. That is not my vibe. And it basically said choose a horror book. Can't remember the exact prompt, but I was just like, that's so not my vibe. I probably should have just taken that card out. But, you know, I've heard so many good things about The Only Good Indians, and I do, like, I've been really intentionally trying to up the amount of indigenous literature I'm reading. So I was like, you know, I know there's a lot of social commentary. I know it's an indigenous author. I know a lot of people that I follow have really adored that book, but I also know that I hate horror because I have anxiety and horror makes me anxious. So it actually started out not too bad, but I think we're getting into the actual horror part. The body count is growing. And I'm not just he's very good at descriptions, but that's the bad part about horror because I don't want you to describe it because that makes me anxious. So we'll see if I can make it through this. I might have to do it in like tiny small chunks, and I will not be listening to it at night because a lot of times I listen to my audiobooks before I go to bed, and I am not doing that with a horror novel. I refuse. I'm not doing it because that would be like a stupid mistake that 14-year-old me would make watching the first season of Supernatural and at night alone in my bedroom. No. We're not doing that again. So we will listen to it in the daytime, and I usually also listen to audiobooks while I work out, so that'll be my workout novel when I can, you know, focus on the physical pain my body is in rather than the emotional torture that the book is putting me through. I will say, like, I can tell that it's technically good so far. It's effective at what it's doing. It's very interesting, but horror is just not my vibe. And it probably never will be. Like, even before I really had anxiety, it still wasn't my vibe. Because, like, I started watching Supernatural before I really had anxiety. Like, before it was, like, bad. And it still freaked me out. So, however, once I really got anxiety, that's about the time I stopped watching Supernatural. I was like, my brain is already messed up enough. I don't need to add to it with freaky images. And monsters and things that go bump in the night. So I have generally avoided stuff like that. Once in a while I can do some thrillers, because they're different vibes than horror. So thrillers don't generally bother me as much. At the point where we, as the audience, kind of catch up to them. It's like in the 70s or whatever, and so Gunpei is already dead at that point. I don't actually remember the US dude's name. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, but when our intrepid team that's been making very stupid decisions, I feel like it's like this with every movie like that, where it's kind of that like nature horror thing, or just, I guess, a lot of horror in general, people just make really stupid decisions, and this one is like no exception. I'm just like, what? Why are you doing that? Why are you splitting up? One of the groups stumbles upon the indigenous tribe, and that's when the US guy shows up, and he, you know, basically has been in there for 20 plus years, and so he has learned how to communicate with the indigenous people. They have learned to communicate with them. They obviously understand each other. Not one indigenous person speaks an entire word in the movie. Even as US man explains their culture, their religion, their everything to adventure group. And it just really rubbed me the wrong way that they just had the white man telling the indigenous people's culture and story. Like, I get that he would be like the first one, like in the scene where they're like happened upon, like it would make sense that he kind of at first is like, hey, these are people from my land. But like he basically, the screenwriters or director or whoever made the stupid decision to literally say,
well, they don't say much.
Like basically say like, oh, the indigenous people don't talk, so I'll explain everything. I'm like, well, obviously they communicate in some fashion, so you could at least make an effort to, first of all, they could have just had them speak a language, and they obviously understand English. You could have just had them speak English. You could have done so many things to have the indigenous people tell their own story, and they did none of it, and just had them stand there and the whole time. And, well, white man explains everything. I was just like, I made a note of it. I was like, out loud, I was just like, I feel really weird about this. That was a choice and I don't like it. Just like, there was no reason for that. You could have literally just had the indigenous people tell their story. Because they understand English, they understand him. They can definitely speak. It's not like... Or they could have like communicated with US man and US man could have translated. Why are movies like this? And I was just like, why? Why? We know why. I was just, it kind of ticked me off a little bit. You know, the rest of the movie was kind of cheesy, but like whatever. Take it or leave it. And put foundation on. Oh, okay. He puts on bronzer before he puts on foundation. Makes sense. The rest of the movie was less offensive. I could take it or leave it. I was also doing homework while I was watching. After I finished eating, I was just like, I'm just gonna do my homework. And there were a couple monsters that were legitimately creepy. Not the least of which was bamboo crab spider.
Giant bamboo crab spider.
Fuel of my nightmares. That one freaked all of us out, to be completely honest. Like, my friend and I were just like, who dreamt this up and who hurt them? Why? Like the big main antagonist monster, also creepy. But I don't know, the bamboo crab spider that was in the movie for approximately a minute and a half freaked me out significantly more than the main monster. Just saying. Pretty much all I have to say about that. I was mostly just mad about that little piece, like, because there's no reason for it. You know, it's 2021. At this point, you can do better. It's not, you know, we're not in the 1970s anymore. So you can stop with that crap. It's so like irrationally hot in here, which it's because the closet over there has the main heating element for the apartment. So it's always just like probably a good like 10 degrees hotter in my office than in the rooms in the apartment. Like my living room, always freezing. Office, always really, really hot. It is what it is. I feel like I'm kind of running out of things to talk about. I don't get how people can do like get ready with me's and just like talk the whole time and, you know, have stuff to say. Oh, I guess I could talk about the other books because I started talking about Stephen Graham Jones and horror. Yes, words about things. So let's see, Place Beyond Our Dreams. I'm not very far into that one. I'm probably like, I don't know, 14%, maybe 20%. I am 36%. Okay, I'm further along than I thought. It's pretty good so far. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's like the writing style or what, like it's good, but I feel like I'm not connecting to the characters as much as I feel like I should be connecting with them. Forget that, you're just like, where it's just like you should be connecting, you know, there's potential to connect, and it's just like, wires aren't quite crossing. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. Like, it's good. It's just not like, it's not blowing me away yet, but like I'm also only 36% in, so like I tend to withhold judgment until pretty late into stories. I am more of a character-based reader than a plot-based reader, so like if the plot picks up and it's obviously more of a plot-focused book, then like I'm not going to judge it as much, but like it's just more of my like, you know, whatever. Basically, I'm only 30% in and I'm withholding judgment. Revelations, I don't know, that one's, I've been reading it for quite literally a couple months, and I was so excited about it when I started because it's literally written by a neuroscientist. I was like, oh, it's all about the theory of consciousness, and it's, you know, written by an actual neuroscientist, and like that's like, it's like adjacent to my field. And so I was just really excited to see what he did with this book and everything, and so I was just like, yay, this will be so good. And I'm just, it's one of those books, like it comes across, I don't know, it comes across kind of pretentious, and I feel like there's so much jargon in it that if you don't already have a really good working knowledge of neuroscience, you're going to be very lost. And I mean, like, again, I'm not going into neuroscience, but like my field is neuroscience adjacent. So like I understand a good majority of what's going on, but it's still pretty heavy even for me, and I'm just, you know. And then I just feel like it's trying to do too much because it's kind of this like omniscient third person that hops really deep into the people's inner workings, but there's so many different characters it's trying to deal with, and it's just kind of like you're not really connecting to any one character, but it's acting like you're really connected to the characters. And it offered a murder mystery, and so far it's not really focusing as much on the mystery. It's just, it's a very weird vibe, and I'm very much struggling to get through it. Yeah, it's not my favorite, and I feel bad because I'm like, I really wanted to love it. I'm like, neuroscience murder mystery, heck yeah. But no, not so much. That's too cool toned. Well, now I have to do a little bit to match. Dang it. So yeah, and then the protagonist is also pretty unlikable. I don't like him. And like they acknowledge that the protagonist isn't necessarily likable, but like they want him to be unlikable in a likable way, like Gregory House in House MD. He's unlikable, but in a likable way. Like, even, you know, he's not Sherlock, he's not House, he's just kind of unlikable and pretentious, and like he's talking about the theory of consciousness literally nonstop, and he dismisses everyone else's ideas as pretty much pathetic. Like, if you don't agree with my ideas, well, bye-bye with you. And I don't know, it's just not my vibe. And I'm trying to finish it because it was a NetGalley book, so I'm, you know, I'm like, well, I'm going to finish it and then give my feedback and whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm feeling about it at this point. Like, whatever. I just want to be done with it at this point. And again, I feel bad because like it should be up my alley and it's just not. And I'm not sure whose alley it's up. There's probably a niche few neuroscientists and other people who like really philosophical, pretentious, heady books. There's an audience for it, I know, so whatever. I'm pretty close to done. Nothing's, I don't know, like nothing I am actively reading at the moment is like really, not my perfect reads, but I've had a really good reading year so far, so I mean I'm bound to have a few that just don't quite mesh as well. That's okay, it happens. I will get out of a reading slump eventually. Well, it's not really a slump, it's just, I'm like, it's a slump. It's not really a slump, it's just, it is what it is. So, let's see, I'm gonna line my lips real quick. Aria literally loves the daybed. She has claimed it as her own. Aww, you're so cute. She's like rubbing her paws over her face. Hi. Oh, Miss Expensive. I asked you to come say hi, but you don't like it when I pick you up, so. Alright, this is the final look for the Roswell shot. So yeah, just a little bit of a classic glam moment. I'm taking a photo for the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which this isn't quite what I would do for a book look, like a full book look, but it's close, you know? of that Hollywood classic glamness, but I would ideally also do my hair, so, you know, there's that. I took Arya for a walk. I was waiting for my camera to cool down. Oh, my nose is already, because we have a cold snap in April, because, you know, it's Alaska. Yes. Anyway, so that's about all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day. Stay magic, keep reading, and I love you all so much. Goodbye!